This is Mission Control Houston. We want to welcome you to today's Space Station Live. It is Wednesday, October 30th, 2013. This is a live view inside the Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Today, the team is being led by Flight Director Emily Nelson. Sitting beside her at the Flight Director console is David St. Jacques. He is today's Capcom. He'll be the one speaking with the crew up on board the space station itself. It's a pretty busy day for the crew. Expedition 37 in progress aboard the orbiting complex. Today, Fyodor Yurchikhin, who is the commander of Expedition 37, is busy working to pack up some items and equipment that will come back home with him. Luca Parmitano, one of his fellow crew members, as well as Karen Nyberg, will also be flying with him aboard that Soyuz spacecraft as they get ready to come home on November the 10th. Oleg Kotov and Sergei Ryazanskiy also working today in the Russian segment to set up and resize the Russian Orlan spacesuits that they will use on November the 9th as they step outside for a spacewalk with the Olympic torch, which is soon to be arriving at the space station with the brand new crew that's going to be heading up there. But they're going to be taking that out on the 9th for a spacewalk on the Russian segment of the space station with that Olympic torch in hand. Also today, Parmitano and Yurchikhin will test out some systems on that Soyuz we were talking about in advance of the spacecraft's relocation from Rassvet to Zvezda. That's going to be taking place on Friday morning. They will undock at 3:34 a.m. Central Time and redock their spacecraft with the Zvezda service module, which is on the back end of the station, at 3:58 a.m. Central Time. This will make way for the arrival of Rick Mastracchio, Mikhail Turin, and Koichi Wakata coming up in November. Of course, we'll have live coverage of all of that here on NASA television on Friday. Mike Hopkins, another Expedition 37 crew member, has a monthly fitness evaluation today using the stationary bicycle on board the station. Later today, he will participate again in the ultrasound, the spinal ultrasound experiment. This uses ultrasound technology to take measurements of the crew member's spine. The goal of the experiment is to help determine and better predict changes that happen to the spine on orbit. Crews have seen up to a 3% increase in height while in space. They get a little bit taller, which sometimes causes back pain and other symptoms. So the spinal ultrasound will take a look at better ways to predict how that could affect certain crew members and whether there is certain commonalities in between the crew members that can better predict how they're going to react to it. Hopkins also working with what's known as the SLAM-D device today. This stands for Space Linear Acceleration Mass Measurement Device. This is located in the Columbus Laboratory. You see it sort of sticking out there with a blue tip on the end of it. What it does is take a look at Newton's second law of motion by having two springs generate a known force against the crew members mounted on an extension arm. You see that arm there. The resulting acceleration being used to calculate the subject's mass. This device is accurate to 0.5 pounds over a range from 90 pounds up to 240 pounds. So it basically takes care of everybody. This is basically how they weigh themselves in space because obviously they can't really step on a scale up there. Karen Nyberg is retrieving some samples today in the Melfi. This is the minus 80-degree laboratory freezer on board the ISS. It's a big freezer that is extremely cold. This is a cold storage unit that maintains experiment samples at ultra-cold temperatures throughout a mission. So she's going to be taking one sample from one to another and getting those ready to be packed up and come back home. We've got some busy times ahead for us here on NASA television and for the crew of Expedition 37 and soon to be 38 on board the space station. We're doing things a little bit out of order this time. Typically we land a crew and then launch a crew, but this time we're going to be launching one before we land another. So here's a look at our programming schedule on NASA television. Beginning on Wednesday, November 6th at 9:15 p.m. Central Time, we'll have launch coverage as Rick Mastracchio, Mikhail Turin, and Koichi Wakata get ready to head up into space. At 10:14 p.m., that is when the launch will actually take place. On Thursday, November 7th, beginning at 3:45 a.m. Central Time, we'll have docking coverage here on NASA TV. And then at 4:31, that is when that docking is due to take place. At 6:15 a.m. Central Time, that's when we'll have hatch opening coverage. And then at 6:40, that's when the actual hatch opening will take place. And for once in several years, we'll have 9 crew members on board the space station and 3 Soyuzes actually docked with the orbiting complex. And then for our landing coverage, As Fyodor Yurchikhin, Luca Parmitano, and Karen Nyberg get ready to come home on November the 10th. At 1:30 p.m. Central Time, we'll have the farewell and hatch closure coverage here on NASA TV, with the actual hatches being closed at about 2 p.m. Central Time. Undocking coverage will begin at 5 p.m. Central Time, with the actual undocking taking place at 5:26. And then our landing coverage will begin at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. The deorbit burn that will bring this crew home will occur at 7:56 p.m. Central Time, with the Soyuz landing actually taking place at 8:50. And then we'll have a video file early Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. Central Time here on NASA TV, with a wrap-up of all the day's activities.